The Woman of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Louisville, Kentucky, October 31st, 2024, 11:47 p.m. The iron gates of Waverly Hills Sanatorium hung open like a broken jaw. Wind pushed dead leaves across the cracked parking lot and up the hill toward the Gothic corpse of the old tuberculosis hospital. 5 of us stood at the threshold. Me, Ethan Caldwell, 26, failed journalism major turned YouTuber. My girlfriend Mia, her brother Josh, his best friend Kyle, and Sarah, who swore she was sensitive and had dreamed about this place since she was 9. We called ourselves Midnight Meridian. 6,000 subscribers and climbing. Tonight we were going live inside the most haunted building in America. Title already queued. We spent Halloween night in room 502. Something followed us home. We all knew the legend. Room 502. The nurse who hanged herself in 1932 after discovering she was pregnant out of wedlock and infected with TB. Some versions say she jumped from the window. Others say she slit her wrists in the bathtub. All versions agree on one thing. She's still looking for her baby. And every single person who has felt her cold fingers around their wrist has died within 12 months. We didn't believe in curses. We believed in views. Josh killed the engine of his beat-up Suburban. Headlights died. For a moment, the sanatorium was nothing but a black silhouette against a darker sky. Last chance to bail, I said, half joking. Last chance to bail, I said, half joking. Mia rolled her eyes. We drove 6 hours, Ethan. We're doing this. We slipped through the gate. The building breathed. That's the only way I can describe it. Every footstep echoed twice. Once from our boots, once from somewhere deeper inside the walls. Moonlight bled through shattered stained glass windows and painted the corridors in sickly blues and greens. Our flashlights carved tunnels of dust that hung in the air like ghosts too tired to move. First floor, operating theaters with rusted tables, shadow boxes full of yellowed medical records, wheelchairs lined up like they were waiting for patients who never came home. Second floor, the solarium where they wheel dying kids to breathe fresh air that never saved them. Third floor, the children's ward. We saved the 4th and 5th floors for after midnight. At 12:03 a.m. we started the live stream. Yo, what's up Meridian fam? We are officially inside Waverly Hills Sanatorium on Halloween night. Smash that like button if you think we're gonna die tonight. J'exploded. Donations rolled in. Someone sent $50 with the message, go to 500 to alone. We laughed it off. By 1:30 a.m. we were on the 4th floor hallway. The temperature dropped 20 degrees the moment we crossed the threshold. Our breath fogged. The EMF reader Josh carried screamed red. Sarah stopped walking. She's here, she whispered. Mia aimed the camera at her. Say that again for the people in the back. Sarah's eyes were wide, pupils blown. She's crying. Can't you hear it? I couldn't. Not yet. We moved deeper. Past rooms where tiny handprints still smeared the walls at 3-foot height. Past the nursery with rusted cribs and a mobile of wooden stars that spun slowly, though there was no wind. Then we reached the nurse's station, a long counter, broken glass, an ancient logbook open to a page dated December 1932. Sarah reached out and touched the page. The crying started, soft at first, like a woman trying not to wake someone. Then louder, heartbroken, guttural sobs echoing from every direction and no direction at all. Kyle's bravado cracked. Okay, that's the wind or pipes or something, right? The sobbing stopped as suddenly as it began. Silence pressed against our eardrums. Then a single word, clear as if someone stood behind us. Baby.
Mia esse camera glitched.
The live stream chat went berserk. Donation $100. Get out now donation $200. She's right behind Sarah. I whipped around. Nothing. But Sarah was staring at the doorway to room 502 like it was the mouth of hell. We have to go in, she said. Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore. Josh shook his head. We said hallway only tonight. That was the deal. Sarah walked forward anyway, like someone pulled her by invisible strings. We followed because that's what idiots do. Room 502 was smaller than I expected. Peeling mint green paint, a rusted bed frame, a single window overlooking the courtyard 5 stories down. Moonlight painted a silver square on the warped wooden floor. Sarah stepped into that square. The temperature plummeted again. Frost bloomed across the window from the inside. She spoke without turning around. Her name was Mary Eleanor Whitaker, 27 years old. She loved a doctor who promised to marry her. When she got sick, he transferred to another hospital and left her here to die alone. The sobs returned, closer now, inside the room with us. I raised my flashlight. The beam shook in my hand, and there she was, standing in the corner we'd all looked at 10 seconds ago and sworn was empty. A woman in a 1930s nurse uniform, once white, now gray with decay.
Kapkruka.
Long dark hair hanging in wet strands over her face. Her belly swollen with late pregnancy. Arms cradling something that wasn't there. Rocking, rocking, rocking. Her head snapped up. Where I should have been, there were only hollow black pits leaking something darker than blood. She opened her mouth. No sound came out, but we all heard the same sentence inside our skulls. "You'll do." Sarah screamed. Kyle bolted.
Josh grabbed Mia.
I grabbed Sarah's arm to drag her out. That was my mistake. The moment my fingers closed around Sarah's wrist, something ice cold wrapped around mine. Nurse Mary was suddenly 3 feet away, head tilted at an impossible angle, smiling with too many teeth. Her other hand, long, blue, ending in broken fingernails, closed over my wrist. Frostbite pain shot up my arm. I smelled formaldehyde and lilies left too long in water. She leaned in until her hollow sockets filled my vision and whispered in a voice that tasted like copper. "1 year, Ethan Caldwell. Then you bring me my baby." The pressure vanished. She was gone. Sarah collapsed. My hand throbbed like I dipped it in liquid nitrogen. When I looked, 5 perfect finger-shaped bruises ringed my wrist, black, already turning purple. The live stream had cut to 400,000 viewers. The clip of that moment went viral before we even reached the car. We didn't sleep for 3 days. The bruise never faded. It stayed black. Doctors said it was impossible. Blood vessels don't do that. Sarah started sleepwalking. We'd find her at 3:33 a.m. standing in the backyard, cradling nothing, singing an old lullaby about stars and graves. Josh developed night terrors. He'd wake up screaming that something was sitting on his chest, rocking. Kyle was the first to go. 3 months later, he wrapped his Camaro around a telephone pole on the same stretch of Highway 191 where truckers see the skinwalker wolf. Police said he was doing 120 miles per hour with no brakes applied. The dashcam showed his face in the final second, eyes wide, mouth open in a scream, and behind him in the back seat, a woman in an old nurse uniform holding nothing and smiling. They ruled it an accident. We knew better. 6 months in, Mia found Sarah in the bathtub, wrists opened, water pink. On the foggy mirror, finger written, "He's waiting for a baby." The bruise on my wrist began to spread, black lines crawling up my forearm like roots. I started seeing Nurse Mary everywhere, in reflections that didn't match my movements, in the corner of my eye on the subway, standing at the foot of my bed at 3:33 a.m., rocking, rocking, rocking. Last week the doctor gave me the results. Stage 4 lung cancer. Inoperable. They don't know how it grew so fast. I've never smoked a day in my life. Today is October 30th, 2025. Tomorrow is Halloween. 1 year exactly. I'm writing this from room 502. I came back alone. The window is open. Wind smells like rain and lilies. She's here now. I can feel her behind me, breathing on my neck though she has no lungs. Her hand is on my shoulder. Cold. So cold. She's whispering the lullaby Sarah used to sing. I understand now. She doesn't want my death. She wants my life. To carry what she couldn't. To nurse what never drew breath. The bruise has reached my heart. It beats black now. If you're reading this, don't come looking for me. Don't live stream. Don't touch the mirror in the nurse's station. And whatever you do, if you feel ice cold fingers close around your wrist and a voice like rotting flowers says you'll do, run. Because the clock starts ticking. 1 year. Then she comes to collect her baby. And she never lets go. Ethan Caldwell, last entry, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Room 502, October 31st, 2025, 3:31 a.m.
Ethan Hayes had always believed that New York City was too loud for pain to survive in, but he learned slowly that sometimes the loudest cities are the ones where heartbreak hides the deepest. The city never stopped moving, but he did. He had stopped the moment Ava walked out that night, the night rain slapped the windows like a punishment, the night he had said things he wished he could erase from the air. Ethan still remembered the look on her face, the way her lips trembled as she tried not to cry, the way her voice cracked when she said she felt like she was loving a man who was always half present. He told her she was being dramatic. He told her she needed to give him space. And she whispered, "Space is all you ever have for me." Then she left. He thought she would return the next morning. Nobody disappears after a fight like that, right? But she did. And the only thing she left behind was the last message she sent him at 1:37 a.m. "I'll talk to you when I'm ready." He kept staring at that message for 91 days, hoping it would magically update, hoping the typing dots would appear again someday. But the dots never came. The silence became permanent. His Brooklyn apartment slowly turned into a cave, curtains always closed, dishes piling up, the city noise fading into a distant blur. Ethan worked from home now, rarely went out, barely spoke to anyone. His life shrank into the small rectangle of his phone screen, where he kept rereading old messages from Ava, listening to her voice notes like they were relics of a person who no longer existed. He would close his eyes and imagine her laugh echoing in the hallway again, but when he opened them, all he saw was emptiness. Then one morning, when the December air was unforgiving, his phone vibrated. His heart jumped. For a split second he believed, like a fool, that it was her. But it was a calendar reminder, Ava's birthday, today. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, rubbed his hands through his hair, and felt a wave of self-hatred wash over him. He used to make her birthday magical, pancakes shaped badly like hearts, that stupid oversized gift bag that she used to tease him for, the handwritten letters she always kept in her drawer. Now all he had was a silent apartment and a phone that refused to light up with her name. He tried typing a message. "Happy birthday." Then he erased it. "I miss you." Erased again. "Ava, talk to me please." Deleted. He locked the phone and threw it across the bed, feeling the sting of tears he refused to let fall. In the evening he forced himself to walk, because walking was the only way he kept himself from drowning. He ended up at the small park near Williamsburg Bridge, the place where they'd had their first kiss. He sat on the same old bench, now rusted, the wood cold beneath him. The wind cut across his face, but he stayed. He let himself remember her hands holding his cheeks, her eyes sparkling even though she pretended she wasn't nervous. She always had this strange mix of confidence and vulnerability that made her feel human in a way nobody else ever did. Ethan whispered, "Happy birthday, Ava," into the air, knowing it wouldn't reach her but saying it anyway. When he finally stood up, the city felt heavier. He walked without a destination, just letting his feet take over. Then, on Bedford Avenue, something froze him in place. A missing person poster, wrinkled, weathered by rain, taped to a streetlight. The black and white photo nearly knocked the breath out of him. From that day on, he searched. He visited hospitals daily, walking through corridors filled with people whose eyes reflected pain. He went to shelters where hope and despair lived side by side. He checked train stations, diners, parks, the bookstore she used to love. He plastered missing posters on walls, poles, coffee shops. Sometimes strangers helped for a minute. Most walked past him. A few promised to keep an eye out but never did. He walked until his shoes wore thin and his feet blistered. He barely slept. He barely ate. He barely breathed. Missing. Ava Morgan, age 26. Last seen, April 17th. Contact NYPD if found. The date. April 17th. The night of their fight. Ethan's stomach twisted. He reached toward the paper, touching her face like she might somehow feel it. His throat closed up. How could she be missing? How could nobody tell him? Why would her family not call him? He felt betrayed by them, by destiny, by himself most of all. He called her sister with shaking hands. She answered sounding tired, drained, older than she was. When Ethan asked why she didn't tell him, her voice cracked. I didn't know if you'd want to know after everything. But he kept going because the idea that Ava might be somewhere, hurt, scared, alone, was a weight he couldn't ignore. Love becomes something else when the person is missing. It becomes duty. It becomes torment. It becomes hope that tastes like poison. Weeks turned into months. Snow dusted the sidewalks. Christmas lights went up everywhere, mocking him with their cheerfulness. He pretended to be okay for the world, but every night he returned to his apartment and collapsed onto the floor, drowning in the same fear. What if she needed him, and he wasn't there? Then, one rainy evening, Ethan found a small cardboard box outside his apartment door. No name. No markings. Just a plain box soaked slightly from the drizzle. He carried it inside with trembling hands. Inside was a phone. Her phone. Ava's phone. His heart nearly stopped. How? Who? Why? He sat on the floor, staring at the device like it was a ghost. The screen was cracked on one corner, but when he pressed the button, it lit up. Her wallpaper still showed a picture of the two of them laughing in Central Park. She was squinting at the sun. He had his arm around her shoulders. He hadn't seen that picture in months. His vision blurred. There were unread messages. Dozens. Sent to someone saved as unknown. Messages filled with fear. I think someone is following me. Ethan would know what to do, but I can't call him. I'm scared. His hands shook violently. She needed him. She looked for him. And he wasn't there. Then the last message broke him completely. Sent at 2:08 a.m. on the night she vanished. If anything happens to me, tell Ethan I'm sorry. Tell him I loved him even when he pushed me away. Ethan covered his mouth to stop the sob that ripped through him. Every breath felt like a blade. All the times he ignored her calls. All the times he dismissed her feelings. All the moments he could have held her but chose his work instead. Everything crushed him at once. Police immediately, but they told him the phone didn't reveal much. No location. No suspect. No leads. Just a dead end. Just heartbreak. Days passed. Then weeks. Ethan kept searching, but slowly his hope turned into something fragile, like a candle flickering in the wind. One evening, while sitting in that same park where they first kissed, he opened Ava's phone again. There was a draft message addressed to him. She never sent it. Maybe she did chance. Ethan. I'm tired of being brave alone. I wish hold me one more time. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm scared. But I still love you. I always will. He broke. Completely. Utterly. And that night, for the first time in months, Ethan allowed himself to cry in the open, not caring who saw. The wind moved through the trees, the city hummed around him, and he felt like a man who had lost not just a person, but a lifetime. A year passed. Ava was never found. Her case stayed open. Her absence stayed louder than any presence. Ethan moved to a smaller apartment, started therapy, and began volunteering for missing person families. But every night he visited that bench. Every night he whispered the same words into the cold New York air. I'm sorry. I hope you know I loved you too. I still do. And the last message she left him remained the lock screen on her phone, a message he kept close like a wound that never healed. I'll talk to you when I'm ready. He waited every day, knowing she never would, but loving her anyway.
My son was beating his wife while she fought breast cancer. My revenge destroyed him. My name is Eleanor Thompson, and I'm 68 years old. I live in a quiet suburb of Chicago, in the same house where I raised my 2 children after my husband passed away from a heart attack 15 years ago. People in my neighborhood know me as the kindly widow who bakes cookies for church fundraisers and tends to her rose garden. But what they don't know is that for the past 2 years, I've carried a secret burden so heavy it nearly broke me, a burden named Ryan, my only son. Ryan was always my pride and joy. As a single mother, I poured everything into him and his younger sister, Emily. He was charming, athletic, the star quarterback in high school. Colleges scouted him, but he chose a local university, stayed close to home. I thought that meant he loved me. After graduation, he got a good job in sales, married Sarah, a sweet, intelligent woman he met at work, and they bought a house not far from mine in the suburbs. Sarah was everything I could have hoped for in a daughter-in-law. Kind, hardworking, with a laugh that lit up a room. She called me Mom from the start, and I adored her. But things changed slowly, insidiously. Ryan started drinking more after work. He'd come home late, irritable. At first, Sarah covered for him, saying he was stressed from his job. Then came the arguments I overheard during family dinners, sharp words, slammed doors. I dismissed it as normal marital spats. Young couples fight, right? I didn't want to interfere. Mothers-in-law are already stereotyped as meddlers. Then Sarah was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was stage 2, invasive ductal carcinoma. She found the lump herself during a self-exam. She was only 35. The doctors said it was treatable, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Sarah was brave about it, shaving her head before the hair loss started, joking about buying wigs in wild colors. Ryan seemed supportive at first. He drove her to appointments, held her hand during the lumpectomy. I was there too, helping with meals, cleaning their house while Sarah rested. But as the chemo kicked in, making Sarah weak, nauseous, and exhausted, Ryan's true colors emerged. I noticed the bruises first. Small ones on her arms, hidden under long sleeves, even in summer. When I asked, she'd say she bumped into something. Chemo made her clumsy, she claimed. Then one day, I dropped by unannounced with groceries. Sarah was in the living room, curled up on the couch, crying. Her cheek was red and swollen. She tried to hide it, but I saw. What happened? I demanded. She broke down. Ryan, he gets angry. The bills are piling up, and he's stressed. Last night, he hit me because dinner wasn't ready. He said I'm not pulling my weight anymore. I was stunned. My son, the boy I raised, hitting his wife while she battled cancer? I confronted Ryan that evening when he came home. He denied it at first, then exploded. Mind your own business, Mom. Sarah's fine. She's exaggerating. Cancer's making her dramatic. Dramatic? My daughter-in-law was fighting for her life, and he called her dramatic? That was the beginning. Over the next months, as Sarah endured round after round of chemo, losing weight, battling infections, Ryan's abuse escalated. He'd yell at her for being too tired to cook or clean. He'd snatch money from her purse, money she'd saved from her part-time job before diagnosis, to go out drinking with friends. One night, he came home drunk and shoved her so hard she fell, bruising her ribs. She ended up in the ER, but lied to the doctors, saying she tripped. I saw it all because I started visiting more, pretending to help but really checking on her. Sarah confided in me everything. She kept a diary hidden under the mattress, pages filled with dates, descriptions of his rages, photos of bruises taken on her phone. I don't know how much longer I can take this, she whispered one afternoon while Ryan was at work. But I have no money, no energy to leave. And the divorce, with cancer, who'd believe me? I believed her. And something inside me snapped. I'd always been the doting mother, excusing Ryan's flaws. Boys will be boys, I'd say, when he got into trouble as a teen. But this? Abusing a woman fighting cancer? No. Blood or not, he was a monster. I decided to act. Quietly. Methodically. First, I convinced Sarah to see a therapist at the cancer center who specialized in domestic abuse. Many women with cancer face this. Abusers exploit their vulnerability, controlling finances, isolating them. The therapist connected us with a domestic violence advocate. Sarah was scared, but I promised I'd handle everything. I hired a private investigator, a retired cop recommended by a friend. He documented Ryan's nights out, bars, women he flirted with, even an affair with a coworker. Photos, timestamps, proof he was cheating while Sarah vomited from chemo. Next, I contacted a lawyer specializing in divorce and abuse cases. We gathered evidence, Sarah's diary, medical records showing injuries inconsistent with accidents, text messages where Ryan threatened her if she didn't snap out of it. The house was in both their names, bought with a joint mortgage. But Ryan had been hiding assets, funneling money into a secret account for his drinking and affairs. The PI found that too. I transferred ownership subtly. As Ryan's mother, I still had access to some old joint accounts from when I helped him financially. I worked with the lawyer to file emergency motions. Sarah signed power of attorney to me temporarily, trusting me completely. One day, while Ryan was at work, I helped Sarah pack essentials. We moved her to my house, safe, quiet, with a spare room I'd prepared. She started her final radiation treatments from there, regaining strength without fear. Then came the revenge. The lawyer filed for divorce on grounds of abuse and infidelity. We attached the evidence. Because of the domestic violence, Sarah got a restraining order immediately. Ryan was served at work, humiliated in front of colleagues. He came pounding on my door that night, furious. Mom, what the hell? You're siding with her? She's lying. I opened the door just enough phone recording. Ryan, you've been abusing Sarah for months. While she had cancer, I have proof. Leave or I'll call the police. He screamed, threatened. The neighbors heard. Police came. He violated the restraining order multiple times, drunk calls showing up. Each time, arrests piled up. The divorce went through fast. Sarah got the house. We'd proven Ryan's financial misconduct. His secret account, frozen and awarded to her for dissipation of marital assets. His car, repossessed because he missed payments gambling the money away. His job, the affair coworker reported him for harassment after he blamed her. Fired. Friends abandoned him when the truth spread. Photos of Sarah's bruises circulated in our community group. Anonymously, of course. Ryan ended up in a dingy apartment, deep in debt, with a criminal record for domestic violence. He tried rehab for alcohol, but quit. Last I heard, he's working odd jobs, begging for handouts. Sarah? She beat the cancer. In remission now, glowing with health. She sold the house, moved to a new city with support from a survivors network I connected her to. She's dating a kind man who adores her, building a new life. Me? I cut Ryan off completely. No visits, no calls. He sends pathetic apologies sometimes. Mom, I'm sorry. She's turned you against me.
No, son.
You did that yourself. People ask if I regret it, destroying my own child. But Ryan destroyed himself. I chose justice over blind loyalty. Sarah calls me every week, sends photos of her new life. She's the daughter I always wanted. Was my revenge too harsh? Maybe. But watching a good woman suffer while evil thrives? I couldn't live with that. In the end, I didn't destroy him. I saved her. And in doing so, I saved my soul.
When my son Daniel asked if he could stop by on Sunday evening, I didn't hesitate. He had sounded tired, careful, the way children sound when they want something but don't yet know how to ask. I cooked his favorite meal, roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, the gravy recipe his late father loved. I even set the table for 3, out of habit, not hope. When Daniel arrived, his wife Claire followed closely behind him, scrolling through her phone, barely looking up. She kissed the air beside my cheek and sat down without a word. I should have known then. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Forks scraping plates. Glasses clinking. Finally, Daniel cleared his throat. Mom, we need to talk about something. Those words always mean the same thing. Claire leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. We've been patient, she said, as if I'd already disappointed her. Daniel avoided my eyes. We're struggling, he said. The mortgage went up. The car needs repairs. And honestly, we thought you'd understand. I smiled gently. Understand what, sweetheart? Claire sighed dramatically. That it's time you help us again. For 4 years I had helped. Paid their down payment. Covered medical bills. Sent grocery money. Co-signed loans I never believed in. And when I hesitated, just once, Claire had laughed and said, Relax. You don't even spend money on yourself anyway. That night something shifted. Not because they asked, but because of how they asked. Not with gratitude, with expectation. Daniel finally looked at me. We were counting on you. Counting on me. The same words Claire had used months earlier when she announced, casually, that they had moved their wedding date up. I found out through Facebook photos. No invitation. No call. Just captions and champagne smiles. I had paid for the photographer. That night, after they left with empty promises and heavier entitlement, I sat alone in my living room. I looked around at the furniture I had bought so they'd be comfortable when they visited. The guest room I kept ready just in case. The calendar still marked with dates that revolved around their needs. And I asked myself a question I had avoided for years. When did love become a transaction? The next morning, I didn't call Daniel. I didn't text Claire. Instead, I made coffee and opened my bank statements. I added everything up. Rent help. Insurance. Credit cards. Vacations I never took because they needed something more. $41,800. $41,800. Money I had pulled from savings meant for quiet mornings and dignity, not dependency. My hands didn't shake. I felt calm. At the bank, the young clerk looked surprised when I asked to cancel recurring transfers. Everything, she asked. Yes, I said. Everything. That afternoon, Daniel called. Then Claire. Then Daniel again. I didn't answer. By evening, they were at my door. They let themselves in. Claire didn't bother pretending. What is wrong with you? She snapped. You embarrassed us at the bank. Daniel stood behind her like a child hiding from consequences. You're acting irrational, Claire continued. We're family. What's yours is ours. I laughed. Not kindly. Not softly. For years, I said, I gave because I thought love meant sacrifice. I walked to the door and opened it. Now I know love also means boundaries. Claire scoffed. You'll regret this. I met her eyes. No, I said. You will. They left angry, threatening, certain I'd fold. But I didn't. I changed the locks, updated my will, installed cameras, and for the first time in decades, I slept without anxiety. Weeks passed, then months. No apologies, no accountability, only silence. And in that silence, I found myself again. I joined a book club, took a short trip by the sea, spent money without guilt. One afternoon, A letter arrived. Daniel's handwriting. I hope you're well, it began. Not I'm sorry. Not I was wrong. Just hope. I folded the letter, placed in drawer. Some doors, once closed, are meant to stay that way. I am not bitter. I am free. And that is something they can never take from me. When my son Daniel asked if he could stop by on Sunday evening, I didn't hesitate.